Welcome to another Genshin Impact character showcase. Today we are taking a look at Iansan, the newest 4-star character, who a lot of people are very excited for because apparently she kinda rivals Bennett in terms of buffing attack, or at least can kinda keep up with him from what I've heard. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see how true that actually is. If she can actually kind of be a Bennett replacement in some teams. Or maybe people were just exaggerating her true potential. Who knows? I'm definitely gonna compare her to Bennett in this video to find out. My Iansan currently is level 80. She has 2500 attack and 180 energy recharge. The other stats don't really matter. We just want attack and energy recharge on her. And by attack I mean like actual attack, not just base attack, because contrary to Bennett, her attack buff does scale off her full attack, not just the base. The weapon I'm using is the event weapon from last update, which is just a really good weapon for her. It has pretty high base attack for a 4-star, energy recharge substat, and gives her some additional attack in the passive, and she just has to use her elemental skill to get that buff, which she wants to do anyway. So yeah, just a really damn good weapon for her. And most players currently probably have this weapon, except if you started playing the game in like the last 1 or 2 weeks. In that case, you don't have it. Yeah, I still think they should add old event weapons to a shop somewhere. Whether it be the Star Glitter shop or one of the souvenir shops around the world. We definitely need a way to obtain old event weapons. But for now, since this weapon is pretty new and most players probably have it, I think it's fine to use it in the showcase. Though you could probably also just use Favonius. It has basically the same stats here, same base attack, same energy recharge, just the passive doesn't really help her much. But some extra energy is always nice for the team. And you know, if you have the Skyward Spine like I here, I haven't leveled it up yet, but this is probably also a good weapon because it has pretty high base attack and also energy recharge substat. So this would also probably work really well on Iansan. Then as for the artifacts, I'm using the Scroll of the Hero of Cinder City, because that's just generally the best support set for Natlan characters. Actually one of the best support sets in general, but you know, it's not that good on characters that aren't from Natlan, sadly. But Iansan of course can make really good use of this. Constellation is 0 for now, but I do have 3 constellations, and her best constellation as far as I know is actually the C2, which increases her attack buff by an additional 30%. So I'm definitely gonna activate this later in this video, but first I wanna test her at C0. And the talents for now are 6, 6 and 8. Normal attack and skill don't really matter because they are just for her own damage. They don't really do anything for the team. But the burst is the big thing, where you get the big attack buff. 27% when she has full Night Soul points, and then when she has 42 or below Night Soul points, then she gets 0.5% attack per Night Soul point. Or rather, the team gets that. Or not the team, the active character. But yeah, that's the attack buff that everyone is talking about. And this actually doesn't get increased with levels. You could leave this at level 1 and it would still say 27% attack. But that being said, you still want to level up the burst because of this max attack bonus here. Because that actually does get increased with levels. And it basically is a cap to her attack buff. So even if the 27% attack here would give me 800 attack, it still would only be 610 because that is the cap. So you want your burst to be as high level as possible to increase this number. Now it is of course a bit sad that it is capped like that, but I think they just learned from Bennett and were like, yeah, we can't just have a buff attack by 1000. But as far as I know, at like level 10, if you crown her burst, it's like around 800, so it's really not that far behind Bennett. Especially if we take constellations into consideration, because like I said, the C2 increases her attack buff even further and is not restricted by this cap here, I'm pretty sure. So in theory, she sounds like she can actually rival Bennett. But yeah, again, like I said, we're gonna definitely test that, definitely gonna compare her to Bennett today. I can't wait to see the results. And of course, one big thing that sets her apart from Bennett is that the active character has to move around to keep up her Night Soul points, to keep up the maximum attack bonus. So she wants to be used with characters that have a lot of movement in their kits, which, you know, does restrict who you can use her with a little bit. But then again, Bennett has the restriction of being in a small circle, so they both have certain disadvantages. And I guess it's just nice to have more options. But yeah, so much about their talents. That's my Iansan. So now let's get to testing. And I'm gonna use Varesa here as my DPS for this test. And I also have Bennett in the team So you're just gonna use Bennett with Varesa, see how much damage she does and how much attack she gets, and then we're gonna use Iansan with Varesa, do the same thing, just compare and see who's better. And before we do that, it probably makes sense to show my Bennett build real quick. He has 756 base attack because I'm using the Sapwood blade on him, so the exact same base attack as Iansan's weapon. This is just generally a pretty good free-to-play weapon for Bennett. Using 4-piece noblesse, of course. Constellation is 1, and the talents are at 8, 9, and 10, with the important one being, of course, the burst, which is crowned. So, a little bit higher talent level than Iansan. Keep that in mind when we are testing them. But other than that, I would say pretty equal builds. And as usual, I'm here at Masanori, so yeah, let's just go in, fight him, see how it goes. How much these characters actually do for Varesa. And yeah, before we actually apply any buffs, Varesa has 1600 attack on base. And yeah, let's just use Bennett's burst immediately. And just... oh, got hit there, not good. See how much attack she has now. Okay, that's a buff of over 1000. She's almost at 3000 now. Very good, needless to say. How much damage is she doing? Oh, that didn't crit. That missed. Where did you go, Varesa? 37k. Okay, not bad, not bad. In my Varesa showcase, when I tested her unbuffed, she did like 26k with a mini burst. And so yes, 37k is over 10k more. Definitely a very good buff. And now we just try the same with Iansan. We want to use her skill to get Night Soul points, then use her burst and... yeah, 2400. I don't think that's the max buff. But then again, it is capped out at 610 and that is already more than 610. Where did I get the other attack from? Interesting. I'm not sure. Oh, I see. I forgot about this passive of Varesa. She can increase her own attack. But yeah, so okay, so that also explains, because I was a little bit surprised by how much Bennett increased her attack. To be honest, I didn't expect that much. But yeah, this here explains it. Because even Bennett wouldn't give like 1400 attack, not with a 4-star weapon. I was expecting around 1000, but yeah, okay. That makes sense. So maybe I should test it with another character, but let's just see the damage first. Didn't crit. 35k. So to see the actual buffs that they give, let's actually go in with unbuff Varesa and try to get both of her stacks. We need to trigger a Night Soul burst, like this, and now Varesa, yeah, now she has almost 1900 attacks, so that's our baseline basically. Since we do have 2 Natlan characters, we might be able to trigger another Night Soul burst pretty quickly. Let's see. Okay, second Night Soul burst, was it still enough to get both? No, we are still at 1900, okay. So there's still too much delay between the Night Soul bursts to actually get both stacks. Interesting. Okay, so 1900 is our baseline. So once again, let's do this. And we're at 2900. So yeah, pretty much 1000, a little bit more than 1000. That's about what I expected from Bennett. And then if we do this, he blocks. Stop blocking, Masanori. And that didn't crit. Of course. And Bennett's burst is gone. Yeah, 26k there unbuffed. Well, let's try Iansan now. Once again. Just do this. And again. 30k there. 30k again. How did we get 35k before? Maybe we don't have the max attack buff right now. Or I might have triggered Overload before. I almost forgot, but we do have the Cinder City on her. Which of course also gives a massive element to damage buff. Which is part of what is bridging the gap between her and Bennett. So if you trigger Overload with her, we should be seeing some pretty good damage again. But first another Bennett test, since we didn't crit last time. Didn't crit again. Okay, there we go. 41k this time. And we have 2800, actually a little bit less than before. So now we even got 40k. Interesting. It's just getting better and better. Okay, now it's time for Iansan again, and we have to make sure that we trigger Overload this time, and also that I use the skill. I think I might have forgotten that last time. And of course, you get a lot of Night Soul points from her skill. Kinda need to use it to fill up the Night Soul Gorge to get the max attack bonus. But yeah, let's apply Pyro, then use the skill, use the burst, and use Varesa. 25. Stop blocking, I hate it when he does that. Oh, that's the wrong burst. And it didn't crit. Man, everything is going wrong. He always blocks at the most annoying times. Okay, so let's try this again. Stop blocking. Okay, 44k there. Wow, that was more than Bennett. Okay. But I'm missing way too many crits. Come on, Varesa, you have 80% crit rate. What is wrong with you? But yeah, we did see a 44k there, compared to Bennett's 41k. Wow, that is incredible. Let's see if I can do that again. First, Bennett test. $42k, yeah. Bennett pretty consistently now at 42, 41. Yeah, so that's the max I can get here from Bennett. Now can we get another 44k with Iansan? Let's see. 44 again, 44 again. Oh yeah, okay. It's consistent, it's pretty consistent. It's actually 44k. Wow, yeah, that's more than Bennett. Insane. I was expecting her to keep up with Bennett at like C2, but she's still C0. And she's already surpassing him, basically. What the heck? And again, his burst is level 10, her burst is level 8. That is amazing. Now, of course, with Varesa, it's really easy to keep up the max attack buff with Iansan, so let's actually try a different character who might not have such an easy time keeping Iansan's Night Soul points at maximum. And the character I'm thinking of is Arlecchino, because she's a melee DPS who just goes in and hits opponents, and most of her movement comes probably from dodging. And I'm not sure if that is enough for Iansan's attack buff. So yeah, let's just try it out. Okay, so let's use her skill first. Now we wait 5 seconds and, you know, test Bennett first. 30k there, 39. Pretty decent damage, 28, 29. Yeah, consistently over 20k, in the beginning over 30k when we still had more Bond of Life. So, pretty good. If we just use Arlecchino on her own actually, without any buff, we should probably test that as well, how much damage she does then. Yeah, okay, so she breached 30k there on one of her attacks, but definitely nowhere near the 39k we saw with Bennett. Okay, now with Iansan. 35, 34. But yeah, then it goes down pretty fast. And now at the end we have 1900 attack. I'm not sure if we have any attack buff here still. That might just be Arlecchino's natural attack. Yeah, I think Iansan's burst already ran out. I should have looked during the fight. So let's just go in again. But yeah, you could see that here Iansan's damage was a little bit less than Bennett's. Which makes sense because Arlecchino is not moving around nearly as much as Varesa. So yeah, you can see that the movement does matter. Okay, let's do this. We have 2500. I think that's the max attack buff. Yeah, I think that's almost exactly 610. So that should be the max attack buff. And how fast does that go down? Yeah, now we are only at 2333 already. We dodge a bit. Does that change things? Oh, it's already run out. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, I think we are not at maximum anymore. Yeah, it's a little bit less. It's not the full 610, but it's still over 2500. Let's see. How about now? Okay, now it's a little bit lower, but that's still above of like 400 attack. That's not bad. But it definitely does go down considerably after a pretty short time. So it is not easy to keep up the buff if you have a character who just attacks and dodges a bit. So you really need characters that actually move around a lot to make full use of Iansan. So that's the main disadvantage of Iansan compared to Bennett. But, you know, again, like I already said in the beginning, Bennett also does have a disadvantage in that his attack buff is restricted to a small circle. So in the end, I guess both are pretty viable. I mean, of course, they are insane attack buffers. But yeah, Iansan maybe a bit more restrictive, actually. Really depends on which characters you can use with her. I think on this account, the only character I can really use probably with her is Varesa. Oh, and also Garming, I guess. Right, I have a build Garming. He should work pretty well with her as well. Basically any plunge character. And of course, not only plunge characters move around, there are some other ones, like Maruika, for example. When she does a charge attack, she goes in a big circle constantly, which definitely counts as moving around, I would say. So that's an example that immediately comes to mind. Iansan is gonna be great for Maruika, especially if you play her in Overload. Imagine Chefrus, Iansan, Bennett, Maruika. That's actually gonna be an incredible team. Sadly, I don't have Maruika on this account, so I can't really test it. Yeah, talking about this account, which is my free-to-play account, who here besides Varesa and Garming could use Iansan? Maybe Wanderer? But he also doesn't move around that much. Yeah, I don't think any of my other DPSs here. I mean, Nuvilet, of course, doesn't even want an attack buff. He can move around a bit while he's doing charge attack, but yeah, Iansan is useless for him. Ayaka doesn't move around much. Maybe you could like use her burst and then just use a special sprint to move around, and maybe that would be enough damage to make up for not using charge attacks doing her burst, just to keep up Jansen's buff. But honestly, I don't think that's really worth it, especially since Electro is not really a great element to have in an Ayaka team. So yeah, now out of the DPSs I have here, don't think there's anyone. Let's see, down here, who else? I mean, if you play Plunge Diluc with Xianyun, for example, that could also work with Iansan. Keqing moves around a bit with her skill. Might be worth trying. Sadly, I haven't built either Diluc or Keqing on this account, and also my Xianyun is still work in progress. But yeah, there are definitely options. And of course, there are a lot of limited 5-stars I don't have on this account, so maybe you should just go in the character archives. Let's see, who could use it? Yume Mizuki. Definitely, like, she moves around a lot, right? And I think she's scarce of attack. But then, of course, Maruika, we already said, obviously very good. Kinich as well, he moves around a lot. Can definitely make good use of Jansen's attack buff. Chaska, while you're charging her charge attack, you can move, so that could probably work. Mulan moves around a lot, but she's scarce of HP, so not really great. Clorand, actually, should work really well. She is constantly moving. If I ever get Iansan on my main account, I'm definitely gonna try her with Clorand and Maruika and Chaska. I do have all of them on my main account. Let's see, who else do we have here? Most of these don't really move around much. Alhaitham has a skill similar to Keqing's, but I'm not sure if that is enough movement. Sino also moves around a bit with his skill. But yeah, most of these are not that. Yae Miko, when she uses her skill 3 times in a row, that's a bit of movement. But she's more for sub DPS, and Jansen's buff obviously applies to the active character. Then we have Raiden, who's probably a pretty similar situation to Arlecchino. Yoimiya is pretty stationary. Same for Eula. Xiao as a plunge character can of course make very good use of Jansen's buff. And probably Hu Tao as well, since with her charge attacks, she actually moves around quite a bit. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, there's a bunch of characters who can definitely use Iansan, but also a lot of characters who are just very stationary, don't move around that much. So she's not a universal support, but neither is Bennett, because we have so many HP and EM and defense scaling characters nowadays that you really can't call Bennett universal anymore, since he buffs just attack, and Iansan at least can use the Cinder City set, and it cannot be overstated how good that set is. And it works with basically any character, as long as you can make Iansan react with their element. So I guess it doesn't work with the Nemo characters, because the Nemos are always the one triggering the reactions, so Iansan can't really trigger a swirl. But with every other element, Cinder City works perfectly fine. But yeah, now let's end it with a full Overload team showcase. I kinda just wanna try this. What if I put just Iansan, Bennett, Chefrus, and Varesa? That sounds incredibly fun. Masanori's gonna die in seconds, so I'm actually gonna go to a tankier boss like Kongamato here in Natlan. And let's just see how fast we can kill him with this team. My Jeffrus is C6, by the way, just so you know. But yeah, let's use her skill. That wasn't enough to get her burst, damn it. Let's actually wait until Iansan gets her skill back, because we kinda need the Night Soul points. And let's do this now. Ah, didn't crit. Whoa, 100k there, and another missed crit. But we're getting very good damage. 90k, 88k, wow, and already half his HP bar is gone. Just like that. Don't have Bennett's burst, whatever. Don't need it. Damn it. 73k then, we didn't even have Bennett. Yeah, needless to say, very good damage. Man, I love Overload, it's so fun. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw a 115k plunge attack there at some point, which is a bit more than I saw in my Varesa showcase, where I didn't have Iansan. I also didn't use Bennett in my Varesa showcase, I guess. But yeah, even without Bennett, we still did like 70 to 80k per plunge attack, which is more than enough for most of the content in this game. Actually, all of the content in this game. So yeah, in conclusion, Iansan is incredible and can definitely keep up with Bennett. And I just realized that I haven't even activated her C2 yet. I wanted to do that during this video, but I was just so amazed by what C0 Iansan can do that I completely forgot about C2. So yeah, let's actually do that real quick. Still have some more to test here. C1 is nice as well, because it helps with her energy. But yeah, the big one is definitely the C2, because that's another 30% attack. And then I also have her C3. I'm just gonna activate it, because I can, but that doesn't really do much, because that's actually for her skill, not her burst. So it just increases her skill damage a little. So I'm back at Masanori here with the same team as before. I took out Jeffrus to remove Pyro Resonance, because we didn't have Pyro Resonance in our previous tests. Here we go. Now we got 2,700 compared to like the, what was it, 2,400 something? Another additional 300 attack we get from the C2. Incredible. Now how much damage is Varesa doing? 52k! 52! That's 10k more than with Bennett! Oh my god! Yeah, I mean, it's partly because of Cinder City, of course, because Iansan's attack buff is not quite as high as Bennett's, but that just shows you that Cinder City is also an incredible set, and since Iansan can make such good use of it as a Natlan support, you can kinda almost see it as part of her kit. And the damage speaks for itself. 52, just like that. That's doubling Varesa's damage. She does 26k unbuffed with a mini burst, and that was 52. That's pretty much exactly double. Just from Iansan, no other support. Yeah, so once again, in conclusion, Iansan is absolutely incredible. They finally released a support that can't just keep up with Bennett, but actually surpass Bennett in certain situations. Of course, again, situational, depends on your main DPS, how much they move around. But her attack buff is definitely really good. Even if you don't move around much, you're still gonna profit from that max attack bonus, at least for a few seconds. And then from a still decent, but not as great attack bonus for the remainder of your rotation. So I would say even for characters that can't make full use of her buff, she's still anything but useless. And her artifact set, Cinder City, doesn't really care about how much you're moving around. So yeah, overall, Iansan is great. But yeah, with that being said, we're now at the end of this showcase. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more Genshin Impact and other gacha content. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, have a nice day.